Hi everybody, welcome to this tutorial to draw this elevation in Autocad. This exercise is a part of a project architecture where I have already uploaded the tutorial of the floor plans, the ground floor and the first floor. If you click on the link above, you will be directed to that playlist. For now, let's start this exercise. To start drawing the front elevation of this house, we are going to use both floor plans, the ground floor and the first floor. Then, some of the layers are not necessary, so let's turn them off. I hide the dimensions layer and this one, where I have the text labels. After, I'm going to copy the first floor to place it directly above the ground floor. I click on this endpoint, then move the same point on the ground floor, move up and put it here. Now, I'm going to draw some construction lines to help me to draw the front elevation. I prefer to make a new layer just for them. Click here with the right button, go to New Layer, and then type for the name Construction Lines. Set it as the current layer. Then I'm going to use the command Construction Lines, which is located on the height part at the drawing panel, this one. With the construction lines, I draw infinite lines to cross specific points. They have just a function to help me with the drafting. The first construction line, I'm going to place it on the left boundary. Then, with the command copy, I put more vertical construction lines in all the places where I need to draw objects. When a new wall starts, at the beginning of the windows and the doors. Once I finish, I press Escape. Now let's start drawing the elevation itself. First, let's lock the layer construction lines. I'm going to set the layer walls as current layer. Then I start drawing the line of the terrain. Switch to ortho mode also. It's just a horizontal line here. Now I'm going to draw the walls on the elevation plan. The first and the last ones have lengths of 2400 because those parts have just one floor. All the other lines will have a length of 5000, like the second one that I'm going to draw. I move that endpoint. Then I start from here and type the value 5000. Now let's move the elevation a bit closer to the floor plans to be easier to work. Then I'm going to offset this line that measures 5000. I use through because I want to copy it to the points I will click. Here I select line. I put the first one above this construction line. And I also click on multiple to do it several times, without selecting the line again. As the last one is a bit smaller, I click on it, click on the grip above, then drag it down, press Tab to switch to type the total length, type 2400 and press Enter. On this next chapter, we will draw the windows and door perspectives on this elevation plan. But this time, I want to use a drawing method which consists in using the grid mode and snap modes. If you click on this icon, it shows the grid on the workspace. If I zoom in the workspace, you can see that the grid is resizing. But when the grid stops resizing, it's the moment to click on the arrow here and go to the snap and grid settings. Here, at the grid spacing panel, I can see the distance between intersections at the grid maximum zoom. The grid X spacing, which is this distance, is 10, and the grid Y spacing, it's also 10. Simple. Next to the grid icon, you can find the snap mode. By activating this function and turn on a drawing command, for example line, the cursor snaps at certain points of the grid, as you can see. Now let's return to the snap settings, and on snap spacing you can see that the cursor snaps in a distance of precisely 10 units, both X and Y directions. Also, interiorize this. When the snap spacing and grid spacing have the same values, the cursor snaps only between the grid intersections. At this moment, I have a major line every 5 minor lines. You can look into one major square here. If you desire, it's possible to change that value in this box. Now let's draw the window perspectives on the ground floor. I'm going to create a block for each window size. I switch to the layer 0, activate the command rectangle, zoom in up to the maximum size of the grid and click on the intersection of the major lines, like here. Now I draw the rectangle, insert the length 1200, press tab and 1000 for the Y distance. After, I draw a line from the middle point until the top. And then I draw another rectangle, and this is how you understand how the grid is useful. I click in this point, as I know that 5 small squares measure 50 mm. Then on the other side, I click in a point with the same distances to the corner regarding both axes. Then I'm going to use the command mirror, and using this midpoint, I copy the rectangle to the other side. To draw the next window, I'm going to use the command rectangle again, find again a corner here, and type the distances of 1600, press tab, and 1000 mm. Then I'm going to draw two vertical lines. I'm going to switch on the ortho mode to be easier. Here I type 500 and draw the line until the top. Then the next line is going to be at a distance of 600 from the previous line. I put it there. Then I need to draw rectangles in the same way as the window before. I need to place the first point in this corner and then the second point on the other side. Let's draw the second part of the window, and it's just the same process. Do you see that the grid can be very useful sometimes? The last one. I can use the command mirror with the first rectangle, which is exactly the same, and use this midpoint to draw the mirror line. Next step, I'm going to create a block for each window. First, be sure I'm on the layer 0. I go to Create, here, type the name of the block, Window 1200 Elevation, for example. Click OK. Oh, I need to select the objects. Press Enter. Then I can click OK again and select the base point, which can be this one. The first window is created. For the second one, I do the same process, but this time I can type a name of window 1600. I select the objects, press enter again, click OK and select this base point. Now I can put the windows in its layer, the layer windows, and to be easier to put them in the drawing, the grid it's a mess with all these construction lines there, so I'm going to switch it off. Now with the command copy, I place the window with length 1200 mm on the same x-axis position of the windows on the ground floor. As you see, I'm using the construction lines to help me. It's very easy, I just need to click on them. The last one is a bit different, it only has 1000 mm. So let's leave it for after. In order to have the windows at 900 mm above the floor, I draw a line here with that length. And then use that endpoint to move all the windows to that place. They are finally on the correct place. Now you can erase the line as it's not necessary anymore. For the window of length 1000, I draw it in the same way as the other two. Just use the dimensions that you can find on the PDF file. Then convert it to a block and place the window on its proper position. Move this endpoint and click in this construction line. Press Escape to finish. So, as the windows are made, let's draw the main door. We are going to draw the door in the next few moments. First, I'm going to use the command rectangle to draw the outline. Click in any point and then draw the measurements, 850 per 2100. Then we are going to offset this polyline to define the frame, but first I'm going to explode the polyline to split it in lines, as you can see. Then with the command offset, I create parallel lines with a distance of 8 cm or 80 mm. I do it for all the lines except the one in the bottom. Then I'm going to use trim to erase those segments on the top. Let's open our selection area here to erase these two segments and also those. Next, I'm going to draw the rectangles inside the door. Let's use the grid again. I count 5 squares up and to the right of the corner. Click in this point, then go to the opposite corner, count again 5 to both ways and click again. Now I'm going to divide the last rectangle in 2 parts, drawing a horizontal line from this midpoint. Let's switch to orthomold, it's easier to draw these kind of lines. Okay, now I'm going to offset the line 50 mm both below and above. Delete the line in the middle, and with trim I'm going to disconnect both sides, making 2 different rectangles. So the door is ready. Now I can convert it to a block. Let's create a block. Click there. Now I'm going to type a name, door entrance LF, for example. Select the objects and then choose the base point. When the block is done, I can click on it and switch to its layer. Let's copy this object and if I zoom, oh, I realize it's not correct. It actually has the size of the door without the frame, as you can see now. But it's not a problem. It's a good opportunity to practice the block editor. And now I realize that the door is not on the correct layer. Let's change it and put it on the layer doors. So to go to the block editor, I can double click on the door, and in this window I have to select the block to edit. As the frame has 50 mm of thickness, it means that I'm going to move all the objects to the right 50 mm. Then I draw the frame all around. First, click in the point where I have the coordinates. Then, click in this point of the grid, then this side, and the last at the bottom. Oh, and connect it to the rest of the door. Also, I need to do the same on the left. Then I join these lines in a polyline and apply offset a distance of 80 mm. So the lines here are not necessary anymore, so I can delete them. Once I finish, I save the block and close. Back to the workspace. I move the door to the construction line and finally I can easily move it vertically down to put it on the elevation plan. The next step in this exercise is to draw the windows on the first floor. As they are now created, we just need to insert them in the drawing. First, I'm going to the first floor plan and move it a bit up, just to have space to fit temporarily the elevation plan below. I select everything and move it here. Then, if you look to the floor plan, some of the construction lines are not located at the beginning of the windows. That means we need to move some of them. Go to the Layer tab and unlock the layer construction line if it's locked by clicking in this button. Then I need to move this line. Click in this intersection and then click again in this point to match the location of the window. Then do the same for all the others which aren't in the correct position. Once this process is done, I can place the windows on the drawing. For the first one, I go to Insert Block and select Window 1200 Elevation. Place it first on the line that defines the ground, for after bringing it to the correct height, which is 2600, the height difference between both floors, plus 900 mm, the window height regarding the floor. In total, 3600. Then I keep placing the remaining windows. For example, the next two are a bit narrower, 1000 mm. It's this one. I drag it to the corner, move right following the polar tracking. Click on this intersection. For the second 1 meter window, use copy, select the previous one and click in the next intersection. For the remaining windows, they all have a width of 1200. This means I can copy the first window and doing the same process, I put them on its correct places. Now I move the elevation plan below. Lock the construction lines, then with the command move, put it there. In this exercise, we are going to draw the roof simply using the measurements I gave to you in the PDF file. Let's start with the left part. Change the layer to walls. Then, in this endpoint, we simply draw a line of 300 mm to the left, then one of 100 up, and another of 1900 mm. Then I just need to connect to the other walls. Then I draw two lines more. The first I start from the intersection between the two vertical lines, and the second at the bottom. Okay, if you are curious about these lengths, I'm going to show you a side section here, looking from the left side. You can see the roof height and the distance of 100 mm, which is that detail at the extremity. So let's continue. At the other side, there is a similar roof. Draw the lines in the same way, and the remaining lines I can also use the command offset. Click in that line and with the option through, place one line at this intersection and the second one there. Now the middle section. I'm going to start with the small roof section where I need two diagonal lines. That's simple. Just follow the measurements. Then I draw a temporary line to connect these two walls. Its purpose is, first use the command mirror to copy the objects to the other side. Then, from the midpoint, draw another line of 1.5 meters to reach the top of the roof. Finally, connect the points with diagonal lines. Delete this line. Then, draw the remaining lines of the main roof. You can drag this point, move to the left and type 300 mm, and then connect directly there. Then I keep doing the same as the beginning. Draw this line 100 mm and then 1900, and connect to the other part. I drag this endpoint to find the intersection, draw a line of 300 mm, then find this intersection, connect to this line, use these endpoints to connect both extremities. To get rid of these lines in the small roof, I can use the command trim, but notice that if I try to cut the lines now, the construction lines are interfering here, even if they are in a locked layer. So this is important to know. I have to turn off the layer and repeat the command trim again. Now it's going to work. This last one, I need to press the delete key, because it is a separate line. Before finishing, I noticed that this part of the roof is a bit higher. First, connect the vertical line to the top. Then I'm going to use the command break at a point. I select a line to break and specify the breakpoint, where I divide the line in two. This is the result. Then I repeat the process for the line below. After, I displace these lines up 670 mm with the command move. And then with stretch, I select this section, click in this point to stretch this part to the correct place. Typing again 670 mm. Now it's completed the roof for this elevation. Okay, now that we finished this drawing, we can create a new layout in order to print this elevation. I'm going to click in this layout, for example, of the first floor. Then with the right button, click on the tab and choose Move or Copy. In this window, select First Floor A3. Put a tick on Create a Copy and click on OK. Then I double-click in the new tab to rename it as Front Elevation. After, I'm going to double-click on the viewport to switch to the model space. And then I have to unlock it to move or scale the viewport until I find the elevation. It's this one. Now I have to check the scale. I need to change it to 1/100. And finally, you can lock the viewport if you desire. At the end, just change the name of the drawing in the legend here. So, it's everything in this lesson. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to CAD in Black to get easy access to the full list of tutorials. If you think these videos are not enough for you, I can provide online private lessons. Just send me an email and I can give you all the details. Thank you and hope to see you next time.